Hi guys, welcome back. So we're gonna do another floor chat today. I wanted to keep it casual because I've been wanting to sprinkle in videos that just kind of talk about the lifestyle of a consultant, a freelancer, even if you just work remotely. So the topic today is I work alone and I love it, but am I becoming weird? In all honesty, this video is talking about working remotely, not having coworkers, not having people to talk to every day, and the effects of that. I think everyone's very different, but I'm going to speak through my own experience and also what I do to combat it and make sure that I'm getting out in the world and doing things and keeping myself social even though I don't have coworkers. I love working alone. I love it so much. No coworkers, no awkward small talk, no someone coming up to my desk while I'm writing something really important. It's just me and my laptop and my laser focus in getting things done. But also, there have been times where I've honestly gotten a bit weird. Here's the thing. I worked at a restaurant during college and I loved that dynamic with having coworkers because I was seeing so many different people every night. I was just like running around. It was so chaotic and energizing, and you're constantly talking to your coworkers about something you did wrong or some really annoying person at that table over there or random gossip or, that couple might be on a first date. Things like that, and that sort of camaraderie, oh my God, it was amazing. Like, even though I would never go back to the restaurant industry just because it was an extremely tough job, doing it in New York City was amazing because like you just have so many cool coworkers who are artists and musicians and a bunch of different people who come to New York for a dream. And I was doing it while I was in college, like I said, and it was so fun. It's like our own little sitcom every single day. But then I remember starting to do internships in college. And that's when I realized that I didn't really like working in an office setting. I think for me, just to give context, I'm extremely extroverted. Extremely extroverted. However, I really don't like an office setting. When I'm in work mode, I'm in such work mode that I really don't like socializing. And so I would be working at these internships and I find that like my focus wasn't as good and I just like didn't want people to talk to me. And then at the end of the day, we would get off and we would go to a happy hour together and I would thrive because I was then in socializing mode and it was totally fun. I have a very hard time combining both. So actually, I realized like back then, and I feel like I've always been really good at identifying things about my career and making those changes to fit whatever life I want. So to be honest, after those internships I did in college, my first job out of school was remote. And I have done remote work my entire career, even before COVID, before it became normalized. And it's awesome. But, I have to be planning things like every night of the week because if I don't, then I am running laps around my apartment. I'm going crazy. I'm talking my husband's ear off. I am just such a social person that like, yes, it's great working alone, but it's also really hard to fall into like an anxious pit if you're not kind of setting up the things to keep you in line. Again, this is just me. Maybe you're super introverted and you want to work on your own and you don't need all the setting up of socializing that I do. But I think no matter what, even if you're a more introverted person, it's still good to set these things up because you do go kind of crazy if you're only talking to yourself throughout the week. And it's like a weird contradiction, right? Because like I chose this, but I also need to back it up with all this other like planned socializing. And it's interesting because like when I was working in the restaurant or at those internships, I didn't have to plan as much socializing because I got it automatically through my work. And so that's all I'm saying. This is kind of just like supplementing your social life. And it's better for me because I don't want to socialize during the workday. And so when I am socializing, I am fully there, fully present and committed. And whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, I cannot be the only one who loves working alone, but also had to set up systems to make sure they weren't going crazy. Here are 5 things that I do that keep me socially excited throughout the week, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term, but yeah. And if you have things that don't fall into this list, please tell me because I'm always about improving my life and creating better systems and better things that I can do. And so I would always love your opinion. The first thing that I do is the most obvious one. I schedule hangouts like they're work meetings. Like, I am constantly on top of my social schedule. I love to hang out with like 3 friends per week, like 3 different sort of social things per week. And like a part of perfect work-life balance is scheduling in my social life as much as I'm scheduling in my work and my fitness and everything, because I know that I need it to be the most productive me. And so I'm always very much on top of my social calendar, at least 3 hangouts a week. Again, just me. Also, I probably would need more. I feel like before I was with my husband, or like before we were dating, I honestly planned hangouts like 5 days a week, which some people would think is crazy. But, you know, that was also back when I was living in New York, and you're also like trying to be out of your apartment and doing things as much as possible. I love connecting with people. I don't know. I need it in order to like be a sane person. Number 2. So I have just started going to a co-working space. This has been really important. I feel like, you know, I don't go every day of the week. I do love being at home some days, but it's been so nice to just like be working around people. The co-working space that I do go to is it's big, and it's not fully filled up yet. I feel like it's not like as established as like a Soho house. And I love that because I can still find like private corners when I want more like quiet, huddly time. But also there's a lot of people there just doing their thing, and it's just nice to see, even if you don't talk to anybody at the co-working space all day, it's really nice to see other people and just be around humans. Also, you know, that you can write that off as a business expense when you are a consultant, freelancer, business owner. And so that is a huge hack that I highly recommend. Part of that, I think, you know, often when I'm working from home, I do get caught up in the not getting ready all the time, especially like when my husband's traveling. Sometimes it's like day 3 of like not showering and being in pajamas, which is so not good of a habit to get into. Another reason I love co-working is that it also just makes you feel more as like a part of society, because you're getting ready, you're picking out your outfit, you're doing your makeup. And another thing that I have also noticed is that like me working remotely, like I used to be so good at curating all my outfits, like when I was in school, and you know, when I was working internships, and it was amazing. But now I feel like I constantly have so many incredible outfits and not enough places to wear them to. And like even like on top of the social things that I do, like I constantly have more outfits that I wish. I'm a big clothes person. So yeah, it's really helpful getting dressed up and going places. Now, another thing I do is I go on long walks every day. I usually do about an hour when I get off of work, and it really helps me separate like my work side of the day from my back half of the day. And it's really good at clearing my head, but also I'm seeing so many people going on walks, taking their dogs out, going for runs, just soaking in like the feeling of LA. You know, if it's a really sunny day, that also helps just like boost your mood and not feel so shut in from working inside all day. And so I highly recommend just like a nice walk. It doesn't have to be an hour. That's just like what I prefer to do, but it could be 15 minutes, to be honest. Another part of that of going on a walk is often I'll call a friend. Like I feel like now in my late 20s, having lived so many places, I have so many friends who are not in LA who I need to keep up with. So on those long walks, oftentimes I'll call friends or family members. It's just a good way of like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because when I'm around my house in the evenings, like I don't really have time to call people. I can't really fit it in my schedule. But if I'm going on a walk already, then I'll call people. If I'm not on the phone, I'll be listening to podcasts or reading an audiobook. All of my walks are also layered with like some other activity that I want to work in. Another thing that I have found super productive with this is like 1 day a week, do something that is like a community activity, whether it's joining a run club or joining a book club. I have one thing that I go to on Saturday mornings, and it's like a great way to see like 30 people and just kind of connect and get to know newcomers. And it's allowed me to plug into LA life a lot more, but it's also just a way to constantly be exercising the part of your brain that's meeting new people and creating more of those like community relationships rather than close friends. Because as adults, I think we get so stuck in hanging out with like our key friends that we like don't put as much effort into like the like a more fringe community level of connecting with people. So joining a club has been really helpful for me, and yeah. And then lastly, I think classes help too. This is kind of similar to the last one. Once a week I'll do Pilates, and I generally like to lift alone in my gym, but that's another like solitary activity. So once a week I try and go to a Pilates class, and then you're just kind of working out with a bunch of other people around you. You have a coach leading the class who's, you know, really energetic, adding a lot of positivity into the room. And that to me is another way of just like immersing myself in the world while working remotely. So I hope this was helpful. And if you relate to this video, you really do know how crazy you can get if you don't work out all these things to integrate into society. And I also hope that this doesn't make working for yourself sound depressing, because again, I'm doing exactly what I love to do, and it has been like a dream come true for me. But this social aspect was something that I just had to work out externally from my work life. And I have created like a really good system. I have really amazing people in my life, whether that's really good friends or acquaintances, and or honestly just the mailman that I see on the street. So yeah, like I said, if you have any pointers, I would love to hear them in the comments. And, you know, we also have this community on YouTube. I'm so excited when you guys reach out to me. Honestly, I've been getting like more inquiries lately, and it really just like warms my soul so much. I'm so grateful for all of you who come back and have watched multiple videos. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video.